Pt.3 cabin. It's been pretty warm here the last couple weeks, and it's been a little hard to do some projects lately. So.
Oh, that guy is good. Oh, hey, welcome to Pt.3 Cabins. Well, it's kind of inclement weather and haven't had a lot of time to do some projects, so I thought I'd finish up on the origin story of this cabin and the final part 3 of building it and finishing it up. If you remember, part 1 had us working on the foundation, the driveway issues, a lot of heavy machinery, a lot of stone deliveries, a lot of concrete. If you check that one out, it's kind of interesting. Part 2 was the delivery of the logs and starting to put up the logs. And this part is going to be finishing up the inside, some of the things we did after the fact we built it. So it should be kind of interesting. Come check it out. I'm at the point where I'm going to put my old house up for sale. I did a lot of work to it. I did a lot of practice in redoing the rooms and gutting it. I think I can double the price than what I paid for it. I've had it for about 7 years, so it's like about a 7-year flip. Meanwhile, I've been working on the cabin here since the excavator's finished up. It's been about 3.5 months. I'm getting close to being weather tight, and just before the weather's going to change, so that's a good thing. Got a coat of stain on most everything. I still have the foundation here for the fireplace, and that's going to have to wait till after I'm done building, and I'll probably get a separate loan eventually to finish some things up once the house is up. This is a sunroom that we added on, and we were able to salvage a lot of the lumber that we got with the package for the log home to use it for the roof system, because that wasn't included with the overall package. I've mentioned this before, and it's a great idea if you're building a house, any type of house that you're building, to go through it with your video camera and video where all the plumbing is, all the wiring is. A good idea before all the walls are closed up, because you'd be surprised how many times you go back and review that video to check on things, or if you're going to modify things in your home. Leaves are changing and the winter is knocking on the door, so I'm very close to getting this buttoned up and completely weather tight. We could lock it up and not worry about locking up our tools or bringing them back and forth with us. I could also probably stay here some longer hours. We could get a little bit of heat going in here. Now, I opted to do drywall on the interior partition walls, and I kind of regretted it after the fact. Drywall, of course, was cheaper to put up at the time, but it is pretty time consuming, especially doing it myself, doing all the taping and cutting. I did have some friends from some people at work that helped me. We had a little hanging party and hanged up the upstairs and some of the other rooms. But when you got to do closets and bathrooms and just tape all those joints, and if you're by yourself most of the time, it is very time consuming. If I had a chance to do it over again, I would probably go with the tongue and groove wood. I really like that look, that finish, and it's basically, you put it up and you're basically done, except for some polyurethane on it. A lot quicker, but it is a little bit more expensive, but I think in the long run you're better off and it has a nicer look. Well, winter is upon us, and winter has just been like the summer was for me. A lot of rain in the summertime, and we got a lot of snowfall this winter. Next big project for me is going to be cleaning up this floor. We're going to try to save it. We're going to try to leave the natural wood on it. It's 2x4 tongue and groove. It's basically what you see is just ceiling down on the first floor. In this other bedroom here, you run into some issues with running your ductwork with building a log home, and we built this little window seat on the dormer, and it came out very nice. It's got a little bit of storage in there along with some of the ductwork that runs through there, so that worked out good. We also got the HVAC up and running, which was nice to get some heat in there. I had a friend who had a torpedo heater that he brought that used kerosene, and that worked all right, but it leaves a little residue, and of course you deal with the fumes too. As I mentioned, I want to clean this floor up and polyurethane it, make it look nice, and use it as our main second floor without covering it up with anything. I got to go around here and I got to drive all the nails down, because I'm going to rent a large drum sander and sand the top portion of this floor off, clean it up a little bit, so I got to go through every single nail we drove through here, which there's a lot of them. The drum sander worked really good. It made the floor look brand new again, like we had just put it down. It sucked up most of the dust with it. Really just had to go over it with the shop vac and a little bit of a damp mop and get most of the sawdust out. I had to use a little more detailed sanding in the corners, but for the most part it came out great. We're just going to put a coating of polyurethane on there, 3 or 4 coats, and that'll be the floor. It'll kind of look rustic, and I think it'll still look nice. We were able to make this railing for the loft and going down the steps with some of the larger dimensional lumber that we had left over and some of the scraps that we had. So I've been working on this now a little over a year, and I hired a plumber because I didn't want to handle any of the plumbing. Once he's finished, I can start with the septic system, and that will be great, so I could spend maybe even overnighters in here and work later into the night. I also hired a tile guy to do the tile for the bathrooms, the kitchen area, and the hallways. If you're building a house and you're going to put tile in, let me tell you, it's very permanent. You're going to have to really like the tile that you put in there. Over the years, if your taste changes or the styles change, you really don't want to be looking at trying to tear up ceramic tile. I started this video out with my old house going up for sale, and it did sell over the winter. I was fortunate enough to sell it for twice of what I paid for it, and the people that bought it allowed me to stay in there until I was ready to move. So I'm currently just paying them rent on a monthly basis, and I'm getting close to being able to move into this log cabin. Having my old house sold gave me a nice cash influx to finish things up here without having to get a loan from a bank. The septic system is going in, and this is what's called the Hvac system, and it's very unobtrusive for my backyard. You don't have to dig up large leach fields. Basically, you stick that in the ground. It looks like a large top, and it has one discharge line that goes along my property line to the creek. When the guy put it in, he said if water comes out of that you'd be able to drink it. I've, to this day, never seen any water come out of it. My daughter recently had to get her septic system replaced, and that too was a Hvac system, but it's a little bit more intricate than what I had put in here, and it cost about twice as much than when I put this in. Hers was around $7,000. This one at the time was really around $3,500. My county was very good about the septic system. They gave me multiple choices, and this was the one that I chose that would be the least amount of damage to my backyard. And then they gave you a list of people that would do the installation. So it kind of narrowed things down. You just made a bunch of phone calls, and it really made the process pretty easy. So that's another milestone for me. I don't have to worry about finding a place in the woods to take care of any business while I'm here working long hours. While that's getting topped off, they got their heavy machinery here. They could do a final rough grade before they take everything out of here. So the house portion now is totally livable. I got my occupancy permit. I've got some things to do now that I still got to take care of, but I'm taking a little break. I still need to put a fireplace in, but I did have the foundation put in for that. I still need to build a garage and a breezeway. I'm at a good point. I still don't have any loans taken out, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a loan from the bank. It's going to be essentially a mortgage, but I'm going to treat it like a house payment, and that's what I'm going to use to build the garage. And I'm also going to buy a pickup truck with it, but I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to use it like a car payment. So the garage I want is going to have an upstairs to it, and it's going to have a little workshop up there, and to keep from having any posts down below that would be in the way of the cars, I'm going to have to put a nice large beam in to structurally hold up that floor. Incidentally, this is my first encounter with using a tractor. It was an old Ford tractor, didn't have any brakes on it, it was a stick shift, not like that 1025R that I have today. Once we got the beam in and the 4 walls up, I pretty much did the second floor by myself. One little side note, while I was building the garage, I had an encounter with an emu that showed up in the backyard, and apparently somebody must have raised him nearby and he got loose. Like most homes, you're never completely done with them, but I'm at the point now where I wanted to thank everybody that lent a hand on building this project, and we had a little party, invited everybody over in the backyard, had a little pig roast, and just a small way of showing my appreciation for everyone that lent a hand. As I said, your house is never really done, and now's the time to start working on the fireplace. And I'll tell you, it was a really weird feeling taking a chainsaw into our living room wall and cutting a nice big hole in it. I pulled my uncle out of retirement, and he helped me out with doing one last bricklaying job. This fireplace has a capability of being sealed up like a wood burner. It has an air circulation system. It gets cold air from the basement and it discharges the warm air on top. It works really good. It can heat the whole house. The blower motors have a dial on there so you can select the speed of air that you want coming through the vents. In the wintertime, it's a very popular spot to be. It's very cozy there, and it's come in handy when we've had some issues with our furnace, and that's broke down, and we have this as a backup. So throughout the years, there's always a lot of projects going on here, and if you watch my channel, you know that there's quite a few projects that go on, and it's just never ending. This is our bulk of the build. So far, like I said, a house is never really completed. One thing that many people are surprised at is down in the basement. It's not your typical rustic log type of home down in the basement. I spent about a year on this little project down here. Always wanted a home theater with some theater seats, fiber optic star field up in the ceiling, a place that I could store my own little knickknacks that just don't go with the decor upstairs. So I mentioned drywall earlier on, and we started doing one room at a time. We just did the mud room here. We put tongue and groove up on the walls. We did our master bedroom last winter. So we're slowly kind of converting some of the drywall over to tongue and groove, and I really like that look a lot nicer. I don't think we're going to do the whole house, so we'll leave a little drywall if we want to paint and add some colorful touches. Thanks for watching this process of us putting this log home together. If you haven't gone and seen the first 2 parts, go back and check those out. They're kind of interesting. If you have, I appreciate everybody watching. Hope you enjoy these videos. Sometime in the future, I'll probably go over the pros and cons of building a log home and kind of what your options are, some of the pitfalls we have, and what you have to deal with even years down the road with a log house. So don't forget to subscribe, and keep an eye on us. Take care, everybody. Keep an eye on us. That guy's such a cad. Well, that's going to do it for today. I appreciate everybody watching. Hope you enjoy these videos and subscribe. And keep an eye on us. Don't forget to hit that like button. Take care, everybody.